Welcome, bipolar winter comrades. We are on a journey to reveal the prophecies of the world's largest and most powerful doomsday cult to usher in the end of all life on Earth. Here, we engage you to help expand the army of responders. We must enlist the intelligence services, military, and media in every country on Earth to thwart this doomsday cult's unfolding plans to execute the world's end. You have reached the podcast of all podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to episode 5 of Wake Up World. .tv. WakeUpWorld.tv is a podcast associated with the Bipolar Winter Project that supports and promotes a book called Bipolar Winter, Volume 1, found at bipolarwinter.com. The Bipolar Winter Foundation, or the Bipolar Winter Project, is all about trying to wake up America, wake up the world to the fact that one of the wealthiest organizations in the world, one of the fastest growing religions in the world, one of the most educated organizations in the world, which owns one of the largest private school systems in the world, one of the largest private hospital chains in the world, is praying weekly in their churches that the end of the world should come immediately, at any time, in the next week, the next month, the next year, because as they see it, the return of their Messiah, Jesus, is to come and take them to heaven while destroying everything here on earth. Now that's a national security issue. People have asked me, am I in some way being encouraged or paid to create a podcast that brings people's attention through negative postings to the Seventh-day Adventist Church? I don't consider my podcast to be a negative posting, but the answer is no, I am not in any way associated with nor paid by the Seventh-day Adventist Church to help them develop free publicity. Even though these kind of teachings that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is now promoting worldwide is going to in itself make them very popular. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, like the Branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Church, a small offshoot in Waco, Texas, taught that the United States government was going to come after them, basically shut them down, arrest them, and possibly kill them because of their teachings. The parent church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, teaches the same thing worldwide. In all of their literature, it's taught that the United States government is the second beast in the book of Revelation, the second great Satan mentioned in the book of Revelation, and that great power is going to make the whole world tremble and come after Seventh-day Adventist church members. They're going to have to flee to the mountains and hide. They're going to be running from a government that's trying to arrest them and possibly trying to put them in prison or even kill them. Now, these teachings, again, constitute a national security issue for any government, because when you're dealing with a teaching that says that the end of the world is imminent, that means the end of a government is imminent, and that should make anyone wake up and say, what's going on here? Most Seventh-day Adventists are not aware how in the world they would become the most hated and just accused of creating disaster, or causing problems, and being turned on by Protestants, by Catholics, by Jews, by the U.S. government itself. This is part of their teaching. They will become one of the most hated people on earth in history. Well, when you think in terms of basically threatening governments around the world by saying that your government's getting ready to be destroyed, it's a national security issue, and people are going to wake up and they're going to start saying, well, how could a wealthy organization that's so educated and is growing so fast, has so much contact with communities around the world through their hospital systems, through their private education systems, how could they be making such claims? There must be something to this. Let's look into it. Well, the Branch Davidians helped fulfill their own prophecy, didn't they? And there are many that are concerned that the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the parent company, is going to self-fulfill their own prophecies, if not looked into and stopped before they do so. By governments, by intellectual communities, by other churches, by political investigations. There is much to be said in what we're discussing here. But in 1866, Bipolar Winter, a novel, a historical novel, portrays a teaching within the inner circle of the leadership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, stating that as Temple Comet is going up overhead, a prophecy is given that in 150 years, the last president of the United States would be chosen. And in 1866, stars were falling, meteorites were falling, and it was a dramatic evening. Probably several dramatic evenings where people were looking at these teachings within the closed order, a teaching that most Seventh-day Adventists may not be aware of. And here you have a teaching that actually helps fulfill another teaching that Seventh-day Adventists are all taught. And that is that the United States government will enter a great war, that martial law will probably take effect because the government's constitution will cease to have the freedoms, support the freedoms that we now have. And if you think about it, the Pope has already, with his advisors, said to the world, we have entered a new phase of war. In fact, we've entered the prelude to World War III, where for the first time in history you have computers that didn't exist in World War I or World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, able to spy on other countries. You have computers that are able to manipulate currency, manipulate stock markets, manipulate financial markets, manipulate currency. You have all kinds of different types of trade wars that are now being executed by artificial intelligence, by supercomputers that are going to be soon turned into archaic computers next to the new quantum computers that are going to be 1 billion times faster, 1 billion with a B, times faster than the biggest supercomputers today. We can't imagine what our world is going to look like when that happens, and you can find a link below this video to introduce you to what's soon going to be happening with quantum computing and how that's going to affect intelligence organizations, financial organizations, military organizations, political organizations, etc., educational systems. And so you have this prophecy that says the last president will be chosen 150 years from 1866. That takes us to 2016, when the Seventh-day Adventist Church watched Donald Trump become the President of the United States. And so now the question is he going to be the final President of the United States? Well, after 4 years, he basically lost the presidency. And so the question is, does that mean he won't be the last President of the United States? I am not pro-Trump and I'm not against Trump. I would like to simply share this information with those who might be interested, because the Adventist Church teaches that there's going to be an awakening, a spiritual awakening in North America that's going to give great power to the Catholic Church and to the Protestant churches, and that those churches are going to turn against the Seventh-day Adventist. And you ask yourself, what could be involved big enough globally or nationally? What would be big enough to make that shift, that huge secondary reversal in social structure happen so quickly? And in the in the private secret order called the Shemitah Advent Rite of Freemasonry, which is introduced in the fictional novel called Bipolar Winter, found at bipolarwinter.com, the book describes the last president of the United States being chosen at the end of that 150-year prophecy. But there are certain aspects to that prophecy that I did not see happen during the 4 years that President Trump was president. Because what's going to happen is that president, the last president of the United States, ends up falling on his knees and confessing that he needs those in the United States to pray for him, to pray that he will have consumed his ego, his pride, that he will have the wisdom of Solomon fall down upon him and give him the ability to bring this nation to its glory, that this last final president will actually be asking that the merit of the prayers of every Protestant church in North America be some way given like a cloak of righteousness falling over him to give him protection as he takes on many different levels of trying to bring not only this nation but the whole world back to a position where they respect and honor God and moral teachings that are taught in the Torah and in the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible. So in this teaching of the final president, there is this incredible happening where Protestant churches actually see this man asking for forgiveness and asking God to come and help give him strength and wisdom to be able to rebuild this country, a country that 150 years before 2016 was prophesied would be changing in every way you can imagine, to the point to where people would not even imagine the kind of social changes taking place that are weakening the moral fiber of this country, that are making the world laugh at this country. Instead, this president is going to some way have the ability to turn around this country and its people and have its people turn back to God and see the world as a whole begin turning back to a belief in a higher supreme consciousness that is ruling over us. So what I have done is I have decided to attach to the end of this message a video that was produced explaining the final prophecy, the prophecy, the 150-year prophecy concerning the final president of the United States. Whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican or whether you're independent, etc., you need to take interest in what this prophecy includes, because in one way or another we are all going to be affected by whether the final president, if there is a final president, involved in leading the United States as World War III, which the Pope has now openly stated we have entered the beginnings of World War III. As World War III begins, it's very possible that whoever is president will be the last president if we are ever forced to take on different militaries or social unrest or distress coming into our cities, coming from other countries, and the military has to be involved in trying to protect or correct things. Whether this is true or not, it is a teaching that the Seventh-day Adventist Church teaches. Its members all know these teachings. They're not openly talked about because it's probably not the most nurturing subject to be talking to anybody about if you're trying to get them interested in your church organization. But the church basically says it's going to become the attention of the world. And this is one of the teachings that's going to make the Seventh-day Adventist Church become the attention of the whole world. It's going to be a teaching that gets Protestants looking at the Seventh-day Adventist Church and saying, why are you teaching things that are dividing our families? Telling them that we are worshiping on Sunday, and thus we are carrying the mark of the beast. Thus we have the mark of the beast in our forehead. Same way with the Catholics. Why are you teaching this to our Catholic parishioners? This is wrong. Leave us alone. And when the Seventh-day Adventist Church has proven over the last 160 years that they're not going to leave anybody alone, Protestants are going to start waking up as they start deciding who they want to be their next president. And as that happens, the Seventh-day Adventist Church membership may see the prophecy that they have been teaching everyone is going to happen, and that is the Protestants and Catholics in the United States government will look upon them with suspicion and cause the world to talk about them being the root or the instigator of every kind of problem that the world is facing. So please watch the following video, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
It's known as the sesquicentennial prophecy. The Shemitah Advent rite of Freemasonry held that 150 years from the appearance of Tempel's comet in 1866, when stars fell off the skies, the last president of the United States of America would be elected. 150 years on from 1866 was 2016. In November 2016, Donald John Trump was elected the President of the United States of America. The prophecy also foretold that the last elected president would become known as our Emperor, ruling a global empire from the throne of gold. Gaelic linguistics tells us that the name Donald comes from the Gaelic Domno, the name of two 9th century kings kings of the Scots and the Picts. Domnall is composed of two Celtic elements, domino and val. It means ruler of the world. Dare you not read Bipolar Winter.